Entertain the presence of a quorum.
Councilor Arroyo. Councilor Baker. Councilor Siomo. Councilor Conley. Councilor Consalvo. Councilor Jackson. Councilor LaMartina. Councilor Linehan. Councilor Murphy.
Here.
Councilor O'Malley. Councilor Presley. Councilor Roth. And Councilor Yancey. We do have a quorum.
The clerk informs me that there is a quorum of the City Council present. I have the honor to introduce Reverend Michael Goddards from All Saints Church in Dorchester, who will deliver today's invocation. After today's invocation is delivered, I will lead the body in a salute to the flag. I'd ask all to please stand for Reverend Goddards and remain standing until we finish the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you very much, Reverend Michael Goddard.
Friends, let us pray. O Lord God, the fountain of wisdom, whose will is good and gracious and whose law is truth, we beseech you to guide and bless the deliberations and decisions of the City Council here assembled. Give them courage, understanding, and foresight to provide for the needs of all our people and to fulfill our obligations within the greater communities of our state and nation. Deliver them from the lure of pride and self-interest, that performing their duties with wisdom, integrity, and true charity, the lives of all the citizens of this city may be enriched. And finally, teach all our people to rely on your strength and to accept our responsibilities to our fellow citizens, that we may live one with another in harmony, justice, and peace. This we ask in your holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Goddard, for your inspiring words. Please join us as we salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to will be neither. I have the honor of introducing our friend and colleague, City Councilor Charles Yancey, who has a presentation before the council today. I'd ask all in attendance to give their attention to the podium and recognize the Dean of the City Council, Councilor Charles Yancey.
Oh, I love it up here. Thank you very much, Mr. President. It's a rare honor that I have to introduce a mayor to our colleagues, but such as befalling me today, I am honored and pleased to present to you the mayor of Port of Spain from Trinidad and Tobago. Many of you don't know this, but I did spend a little time in Port of Spain and in Trinidad back in 1985. I visited that great country with Shirley Shillingsford and with a lot of folks from the Boston area, and I actually lived in the town of Fyzabad in the southern part of Trinidad. So today, we're being honored by the presence of the mayor of the capital city of Trinidad and Tobago, Mayor Louis Lee Singh, and we are also joined by his beautiful and elegant wife, Mrs. Rhea Profile, and I am just thrilled that they selected Boston for their visit to the United States of America. And I have the following resolution, which I will read in full, in honor of this event. City of Boston and City Council. Whereas Mr. Louis Lee Singh has served as mayor of Port of Spain, the capital of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, since August of 2010. And whereas Port of Spain is Trinidad and Tobago's third largest municipality. And whereas Mayor Singh started his career as a reporter, but later, after a variety of business ventures, grew into a business media executive. And whereas Mayor Singh served as managing director of the International Communications Network. He also served as president of the Eastern Credit Union between 1981 and 1993, playing a significant role in Trinidad and Tobago's credit union movement, which evolved into an organization with multiple branches, a membership of over 35,000, and a share of capital of $205 million. And whereas Mayor Singh has served on several boards, including chairman of the Professional Football Club of Caledonia, AIA, and as chairman of the National Lottery Control Board, and currently as executive chairman and majority shareholder of the Citadel Limited Group of Companies. And whereas Mayor Singh measures to improve the quality of life in Port of Spain have included the rehabilitation of street dwellers, the removal of illegal trailers and derelict vehicles, and 3,000 latrine pits, and the expansion of citizen participation through town meetings and other public forums. And whereas Mayor Singh, a strong proponent of literary development, something close to my heart and my wife's heart, has encouraged reading and writing throughout Port of Spain and the entire nation of Trinidad and Tobago. Be it therefore resolved that the Boston City Council and meeting assembles praises Mayor Singh for his positive influence on modern Trinidad and Tobago and for his dedication to ensuring that all members of society have equal enjoyment of human rights. And be it further resolved that the Boston City Council and meeting assembles graciously welcomes Mayor Louis Lee Singh and his wife to the city of Boston and proclaims this Friday, August 23rd, 2013, as Mayor Louis Lee Singh Day in the city of Boston. Our mayor from Port of Spain. I'm glad he's not running for mayor in Boston. I'll discuss that later. But welcome to the city of Boston, and I'd like to say a few words, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yancey. What do we say? Councilman?
Councilor.
Thank you very much, Councilman Yancey. Mr. President, I wouldn't normally turn my back on the President. Members of Council, members in the public gallery, members of the administrative team. I'm overwhelmed and bowled over by such a warm and sincere welcome. I'm delighted to have been received in this fine city that has educated my daughter. My dear daughter attended Wellesley College, not too far from here. And that is how I came to know Boston a little better than most people from our part of the world. It has always been a place that fascinated me. Boston, the city that you have cultivated and developed, and people like your good self who have served 37 years?
No, 30.
30 years, and I'm sure the service in this room among all of you is perhaps 2,000 years, if you add up the 37 and the 37 and the 12 and what have you. I can only hope that you will continue to enhance and beautify your country, your city, without losing the charms that have made it what it is. Boston has always been a special place, and I suspect it will continue to be a special place, largely because of your effort and your focus in this room, and those of you and those who preceded you ensured that it remained in a certain kind of scale. That having been said, I feel really honored, and I speak on behalf of my wife, Rhea, and myself, to have been invited into the City Hall here today. And I didn't know I would be given an opportunity to stand at the President's podium. For me, it is a signal honor. And rest assured, we in Trinidad and Tobago, and to those of you who don't know Trinidad and Tobago, we are not only about carnival as some believe. We are driven by an energy economy, and some of you may not know it, but 40% of our production, or rather 40% of the consumption in the northeast coast of the U.S. is provided to you by Trinidad and Tobago in terms of LNG and what have you. We are a nation that is growing. We are a nation that have tremendous challenges at this time. When I left Port of Spain, we were grappling with another flare-up of the gangs in the urban center, in the inner city. It is not something we are proud of, but it is something that we have to come to grips with. I don't know that we are working in the direction that is necessary, because officialdom always seem to believe that crime is something to be managed only by police, with more police cars, with more guns, more batons, and more police cells and more prison cells. I take a totally different view of it, and I have articulated that to our central government time and time again. I feel in the context of Port of Spain, there must be a social component to it. We've got to find ways to make the people in the inner city economically self-sustainable. We've got to find ways to put in more after-school care centers. We've got to find ways to break the cycle and to ensure that people do not become gang members. Which is to say, I have long argued the case for compulsory national service in my country, because there are too many people who are not actively engaged in work or study. And I believe in such a scenario, the devil always finds work for idle hands. It is in that context, I hope that some of the things that I have done over the many years to discourage policing as the answer to our criminal problems, and I hope that people will begin to understand that there is a social component to it that we must address and address quickly. It is for that reason I took to the streets, and during the last 3 years of the term of office, I held 20 town meetings across the city. And at these meetings, we would speak to all, and I might point out to you, Councilman Yancey, at some of these meetings, the gangsters themselves came, the leaders. And I was forced to say to them that you all are not helping the country. You're not helping yourselves, and you're not helping your race. I said, whenever I open the papers, the only people I see dying are the children or the children of the ancestors of the Africans. And therefore, you shoot up the place here, and they shoot up the place there, and these African children are dying. And you've got to take stock of yourselves and begin to understand that there must be another way. And there is another way. And sometimes societies such as ours must do things that are firm and decisive. When we fail to do that, we track records that are seen in places like Mexico, and we don't want that. So that I come here today and I say to you, giving you by way of a quick introduction, some of the things that I have to treat with on a daily basis, and to say to you, this is a welcome respite away from the hurly and burly of city life in Port of Spain. I have to provide no school books today. I have to provide no grocery bags. I have to provide no support, whether it is the people who have been burnt out in the fires and what have you, all of which are some of the things that we don't see as part of the job of a mayor. But the mayor in Port of Spain has had to take some really hard decisions. When I came to office, people were parking on our pavements. And when you park on the pavements, which is against the law, you cause the city grief, because I have to repair the pavement. I have to repair the water leaks. I have to repair the underground drains. And so I started a program that was charging $1,300. I would wreck you, or I would tow your vehicle and charge you $1,300. And then the whole country came down on my backs, because the official fine is $500. But the message was soon heard, and today, 3 years later, no one parks on our pavements. So that I'm saying to you, it has been an extremely exciting period for me as mayor, And while people believe that they have stressed me, I want to say to you, and I say to all of you as councilmen, it is better you stress the Burgesses than they stress you. And so, let me thank you again. Let me thank you on behalf of my wife, and to say to you that I'm here for your carnival, which, as you know, is very much part of Trinidad and Tobago. I look forward to being a good spectator and a good participant. And may God continue to guide all of you in this room. In what you do, I ask you to continue to do it, not in your best interests, not in your family's best interests, but I ask you to do it in the best interests of the people you serve, and ultimately, it will redound into the best interests of your communities and your country. May God bless you all.
Thank the mayor and invite his wife to come and join us, and Shirley Shillingsford, and my chairman, Mr. Clarence Cooper of Trinidad and Tobago. Come on up here, please. And of course, all of my colleagues. Mr. Mayor, my colleagues always show some expression of chagrin when I take the mic. But we are honored to have you here today. Please step forward.
Any of you mayoral candidates?
Go by.
Of course, Shirley Shillingford heads up our carnival, and she's the primary reason it goes off without a hitch every year.
40 years.
Every year. Thank you very much.
Hey, guys.
Thank you, Councilor Yancey and Mayor Singh, for your inspiring words. Many of the ideas that you spoke about here have been debated in this very chamber about the social direction towards fighting crime. And you have many people on this body that feel similarly to you about not arresting ourselves out of our crime problem, that there is another component to it. So thank you. Your words hit a core here on the City Council floor. Thank you very much for your presence here and your words. If there are no corrections to be made, the minutes from the last meeting stand approved. Seeing and hearing no corrections, the minutes are so approved. Madam Clerk, communications from His Honor the Mayor.
Docket number 1310, message and ordinance amending the City of Boston Code, ordinances regulating problem properties in the City of Boston, ordinance chapter 9, 13.1, and 16-55 and 16-56.1, filed in the office of the clerk on August 9th, 2013.
Docket number 1310 will be assigned to the Committee on Government Operations.
Docket number 1311, message and order authorizing the Boston Transportation Department to accept and expend donor funds of $10,625 for the purpose of supporting the City of Boston's community biking and safety initiatives.
Council Lamartina moves suspension of the rules and passage of docket 1311. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Docket 1311 has passed.
Docket number 1312, message and order authorizing the Boston Center for Youth and Families to accept and expend a grant of $806,780 from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for the purpose of supporting the 2013 FY 2014 summer jobs for at-risk youth programs, YouthWorks.
Docket 1312 will be assigned to the Committee on Labor, Youth Affairs, and Health.
Docket number 1313, message and order approving the receipt of a preservation restriction agreement on All Saints Church Building, 209 Ashmont Street in Dorchester.
Docket 1313 will be assigned to the Committee on Economic Development and Planning.
Docket number 1314, message and order authorizing the Fire Commissioner to accept and expend a grant of $1,750,000 from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Office of Public Safety and Security Department of Fire Services for the Boston Fire Department Training Academy.
Docket 1314 will be assigned to the Committee on Public Safety.
Docket number 1315, message and order authorizing the Police Department to accept and expend a grant of $4,500 from Nuestra Comunidad Development Corporation. Nuestra is a grantee pursuant to a grant agreement between it and Local Initiatives Support Cooperation, LISC. Funding will help support community program expenses in the Blue Hill Avenue and Warren Street corridor area of District B2.
Councilor Ross moves suspension of the rules and passage of docket 1315. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Docket 1315 has passed.
Docket number 1316, message and order transmitting certain information under Section 17F regarding rental inspection ordinance passed by the City Council on June 31st, 2013.
Docket 1316 will be placed on file. Reports of public offices and others.
Docket number 1317, notices received from the mayor of the appointment of Elizabeth Leary as a member of the Boston Employment Commission for a term expiring on August 13th, 2014.
Docket 1317 will be placed on file.
Docket number 1318, notices received from the mayor in the appointment of Mark Fortune as a member of the Boston Employment Commission for a term expiring on August 13th, 2014.
Docket 1318 will be placed on file.
Docket number 1319, notices received from the National Grid regarding Boston Gas Company, DBA National Grid Annual Return.
Docket 1319 will be placed on file.
Docket number 1320, the constable bonds of Frederick McDonald, Richard McDermott, Robert Montana, and Vega Ramon have been duly approved by the collector treasurer were received.
Docket 1320 the renewal of the constable bonds will be passed under the usual terms and conditions. Docket 1320 has passed under the usual terms and conditions.
Docket number 1321, notices received from the mayor of the appointment of Nancy L. Gerard as the commissioner of the Boston Environmental Department.
Docket 1321 will be placed on file.
Docket number 1322, communication was received from Sally D. Glora, City Auditor, transmitting the fiscal year 2014 payroll allotment schedules for all city departments.
Docket 1322 will be placed on file.
Docket number 1323, notice was received from the Spectra Energy regarding Algonquin Gas Transmission, LLC, Algonquin Incremental Market Project, FERC, docket number PF 13-16-000.
Docket 1323 will be placed on file.
Docket number 1324, notice was received from the city clerk in accordance with Chapter 6 of the ordinances of 1979 regarding the action taken by the mayor on papers acted upon by the city council at its meeting of July 31st, 2013.
Docket 1324 will be placed on file.
Docket number 1325, communication was received from Keegan Whirlin LLP regarding a petition of N-Star Electric Company pursuant to Section 6 of Chapter 665 of the Acts of 1956 for the exemptions from the Boston zoning docket and approval pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 164, Section 72.
Chapter 1325 will be placed on file. Reports of committees.
Would you like me to read both post-audit?
Sure.
together? Thank you. Docket number 1035, Committee on Post-Audit and Oversight, to which was referred on June 19th, 2013. Docket number 1035. Notice was received from the mayor of the confirmation of the appointment of Lords German as a member of the Audit Committee for a term expiring on June 8th, 2018. Submits a report recommending the order ought to pass. Docket number 1036, the Committee on Post-Audit and Oversight, to which was referred on June 19th, 2013, docket number 1036. Notice was received from the mayor of the confirmation of the appointment of Patrick F. Murray, Jr. as a member of the Audit Committee for a term expiring on May 31st, 2018. Submits a report recommending the order ought to pass.
Chair recognizes the Chair of Post Audit and Oversight, Councilor Frank Baker, on dockets 1035 and 1036.
Thank you, Mr. President. On August 15th, we had a hearing where both Lourdes Germain and Patrick F. Murray sat in front of myself. We had questioning. Both candidates seem to be well suited for the jobs, and their resumes will be attached to committee reports. We recommend this order ought to pass. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Baker. Councilor Baker moves at this time acceptance of the committee report and passage of dockets 1035 and 1036. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Dockets 1035 and 1036 have passed. Madam Clerk, docket 1204.
Docket 1204, the Committee on Environment and Human Rights, to which was referred on July 31st, 2013, docket number 1204. Message and order authorizing the City of Boston to accept and expend a grant of $143,052 for the Massachusetts Department of Energy Resources Grant, the Green Communities Grant Program for fiscal year 2013, awarded by the Massachusetts Department of Energy Resources to be administered by the City of Boston's Office of Environmental Services, submits a report recommending the order ought to pass.
Chair recognizes City Councilor Mike Ross on docket 1204.
Thank you, Mr. President. This grant will bring out of our 27 BPL library branches to 21 the number of branches that have an energy management system, which allows remote control of the energy systems and HVAC systems, air conditioning and heating systems of our library branches. Allows us to heat buildings during off-peak periods, cool buildings during off-peak periods, and actually wind up saving money. This is a grant, but it actually is a grant that will be paid back over a period of years because of the efficiencies it creates. So today I'm moving passage of docket 1204. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Councilor Ross. Councilor Ross at this time moves acceptance of the committee report and passage of docket 1204. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Docket 1204 has passed.
Docket number 1220, the Committee on City and Neighborhood Service and Veterans Affairs, to which was referred on July 31st, 2013, docket number 1220, resolution demanding that children under 18 years old be prohibited from attending the cage fighting and mixed martial arts events in the City of Boston, submits a report recommending the order ought to pass in a new draft.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'd like to yield to the President Murphy on this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. As you know, back 3 weeks ago, I filed this resolution to keep children under the age of 18 from attending UFC or mixed martial arts events in the City of Boston. We had one here scheduled, and it went according to plan on August the 17th. It was not my intention to try to stop up that particular event at the Garden, but it was my intention to call into public view the fact that there is a moral responsibility on behalf of the people that run that league, similar to every sporting league, and those folks are deficient in their moral obligations to society. And I say that because Aaron Hernandez acted out, and Robert Kraft nixed Aaron Hernandez right away. And there are, sports is replete with major sporting organizations sanctioning or punishing athletes when they go far afield. And the UFC folks, some of them, go way far afield with their hype, their hyperbole. It's not so much what happens in the ring as it does outside the ring. And there's a fellow that fought here on the 17th of August that's on YouTube saying, if someone punches you, you kick them. If they kick you, you stab them. If they stab you, you shoot them. And if they shoot you, you go kill their whole family. And that's over the top. It's beyond the bounds of what we in society feel is social behavior. There's another fellow that is on YouTube that teaches how to pick up a girl. And it's bad enough that they spell girl, G-U-R-L, but his two major components to pick up a girl are a bottle of chloroform and zip ties. And these fighters are fighting in the ring, and they're trained professional athletes, and they're disciplined, and that's good. But they're role models to kids younger than the age of 18. And you and I might see it on the internet and say, it's garbage, it's something it's not something we should be believing in or emulating. But there are young kids that have these dolls and video games that think of these guys as their heroes. And the promoter, Dana White, who's a Boston area guy, could resolve it all by saying that stuff is out of bounds and you guys need to be sanctioned. So I filed an order to hold a hearing to explore the possibility of having 18-year-olds unable to go to this event unless accompanied by a parent. Well, hearings are good things because we all learn from hearings. And in the hearing, we learned that under state law, the license that licenses TD Garden says for UFC events, no one under the age of 16 shall be allowed admittance unless accompanied by a parent. Does 16 do it for me? Yes, it does. So we've changed this resolution, and we're asking for passage in a new draft, which simply states to uphold state law right now. And it's a message to the UFC, it's a message to Dana White, that in fact, people are watching his athletes outside of the cage and their behavior and their messaging to our youth. And it isn't just the Boston City Council, it's the National Organization for Women, it's the Massachusetts Children's Caucus. We had all sorts of testimony from childhood behavior experts saying, in effect, what my resolution said is that these type of messages from role models have an impact adversely on society, on children as they're developing. And Councilor Ross stood up on July 31st in his chair of public safety and requested passage of a $700,000 grant for our Boston Police Department to go into our public schools and educate middle school kids on programs of violence against women. And here we have their potential role models on the internet espousing violence against women. So what I've done is I've changed the resolution to match state law, and I'm just asking for a great vote out of the City Council today for saying uphold state law. Don't allow these kids. I sent a letter to the police commissioner as president of the council and to TD Garden saying we're going to uphold Chapter 147 of state law, and we did. And now the resolution has to come out and move forward, and I'm hoping moving forward that Dana White mans up and does the right thing with regard to children. Because this is simply about sending the wrong message to kids who are malleable in their 11-year-old, 12-year-old, 13-year-old stage, and looking for role models and finding the wrong role models. I'm hoping you can support me and support the children of Boston. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I make a motion to docket number 1220, submit a report in support of adopt a new draft, passing a new draft. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say aye. Oh, all opposed? A. All opposed? No. One opposed? This motion passed. Thank you. Madam Clerk, docket number 1202.
Docket number 1202, the Committee on City and Neighborhood Services and Veterans Affairs, to which was referred on July 31st, 2013, docket number 1202, message and order authorizing the City of Boston to accept and expend an award of $675,000 in the form of a congestion mitigation and airway quality improvements, CMAQ program, awarded jointly by the Federal Highway Administration and the Federal Transit Authority for the purpose of supporting the City Bike Share Program, Hubway, and Boston Bikes Bicycling Program, submits a report recommending the order ought to pass.
Chair recognizes City Councilor Sal LaMartina on docket 1202.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had a great meeting last Tuesday hearing on this grant. This City of Boston received a federal congestion mitigation air quality improvement funding for through the Massachusetts Department of Transportation for $675,000. There's two tasks for this fund. One was is $600,000 to fund the bike share operations, and $75,000 for bike share activities. Some facts that we learned at the hearing is that the New Balance Hubway launched in July of 2011 in Boston with 61 stations, 620 bicycles. To date, we made 1 million trips. There's also nearly 8,000 members, and currently the system is 108 stations from the 61 that we started 2 years ago, and we have 1,100 bikes. We're adding 20 new stations in 2013 in Jamaica Plain, South Boston, and Charlestown. Stations will be located near the MBTA bus and rail transit stations to encourage more people to use the bikes and public transportation. Also this year, we're going to be launching a location where you could rent helmets for the first time, which is very good. So I urge my body to support this $675,000 in grant for Hubway. Thank you.
Councilor LaMartina at this time moves acceptance of the committee report and passage of docket 1202. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Docket 1202 has passed. Matters recently heard for possible action. Want to read all four, Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. President. Docket number 1205, message and order for the confirmation of the appointment of Susan Gaganian as a member of the Boston Landmarks Commission for a term expiring on June 30th, 2015. Docket number 1206, message and order for the confirmation of the appointment of Felicia Jacques as a member of the Boston Landmarks Commission for a term expiring on June 30th, 2016. Docket number 1207, message and order for the confirmation of the appointment of Diana Passon as an alternate member of the Boston Landmarks Commission for a term expiring on June 30th, 2016. Docket number 1208, message and order for the confirmation of the appointment of Christopher Hart as an alternate member of the Boston Landmarks Commission for a term expiring on June 30th, 2015.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Speaking on dockets 1205 to 1208, Chair recognizes the Chair of the Committee on Economic Development, Councilor Bill Linehan.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had a hearing yesterday, and Susan Gorganian, Felicia Jacques, and Christopher Hart were in attendance. We also received a letter from Diana Pacon, who is a past member of the Landmarks Commission, and because she was unavailable to be at the hearing. The communication was read into the record for Diana, and she clearly has all the necessary skills and experiences to do a good job on the Landmarks Commission. Also, Susan is also one that has served in the past. Felicia Jacques brings a unique set of skills. She's someone who's been active in preservation. She's also an architect. And Christopher Hart is someone who has worked on a lot of matters related to historic preservation and about access for the handicapped to historically preserved buildings. He articulated that some of the great historic sites in Western Europe are handicap accessible, and many here in America are not. So he brings a unique perspective to that body. So I ask that we confirm these nominations for appointment.
Thank you, Council Linehan. Council Linehan at this time moves acceptance of the committee report and passage of docket 1205, 1206, 1207, and 1208. All those in favor of confirmation signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Dockets 1205, 06, 07, and 08 have passed. Motions, orders, and resolutions.
Docket number 1326, Council Linehan offered the following ordinance amending Chapter 16-12.28 regarding the public consumption of marijuana.
Chair recognizes City Councilor Bill Linehan on docket 1326.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a matter that in 2008, Chapter 387, marijuana, the possession of 1 ounce or less of marijuana was decriminalized, but it was not legalized. And this particular ordinance that I'm presenting here today will allow the police to do their job. I mean, what's happening, we have alcohol is a legal substance. It's one that you need to be 21 years old and you can consume it. And but there are laws and ordinances on the restriction of public use. So in that vein, I'm not trying to further criminalize the use of marijuana here, but this is to help us manage a situation in a place where we should all have access with our grandchildren, with our children, with seniors, to be able to walk in and about our parks and playgrounds throughout the city without having to feel the effects or be sensitized in a way to marijuana smoking. And so in discussion with the police, we looked at the ordinance. The law today allows cities and towns to adopt ordinances that help regulate the consumption of marijuana in public places. And cities and towns may choose among the following enforcement mechanism: non-criminal disposition, criminal indictment, or complaint pursuant, with a fine of no more than $300. So we're attacking this public consumption in the parks. And this is not in any way to try and focus in on the Hemp Fest, which has been going on the Boston Commons since I was back in Parks and Recreation. It just happens to be that we've been receiving numbers of complaints and continue to grow each year over marijuana use in the Boston Common. And the police have said that their hands are tied and they need greater enforcement abilities and mechanisms. So this would prohibit the public consumption of marijuana in the Boston Common, other parks and playgrounds under the control of the City of Boston. It'll give additional enforcement mechanism to our police department and to enforce by criminal indictment or complaint. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Council Linehan. Docket 1326 will be referred to the Committee on Government Operations.
Docket number 1327, Councilor O'Malley offered the following order for hearing to discuss ways to promote college savings for families in the city of Boston.
Chair recognizes City Council Matt O'Malley on docket 1327.
Thank you, Mr. President. Earlier this month, I, like many of you, paid my monthly bills with my mortgage and car payment and insurance and utilities was my student loan payment, which is something I've been paying off for more than 10 years now. I'm very lucky. I was able to go to college because of these student loans, because of some help from my parents, because of working through college. In fact, some summers were spent working here through a little bit of scholarships. But most importantly, the cost of my college tuition was half of what it is right now. Again, I graduated 10 or so years ago. I was then paying about $32,000 a year. My alma mater is now $65,000 a year. It is no shock to anyone in this chamber just how staggering the price of college is now. So today I'm filing an order to explore ways that the City of Boston can help public school students and their families save for college. I want to begin by particularly thanking Hannah Gewurz, who works with me as my ward fellow, a Boston Public School Rising Senior, who did some real extensive legwork into looking into this hearing order. 2 weeks from now, our kids, BPS students, will be heading back to class, heading back to school. Some of your kids, some of your grandkids will be doing so. And it's never too early to begin teaching them how to save for college. So as our youngest students begin school, I believe it's time to talk about how we can help them and their families plan for the future. We all know that the cost of college education is staggering, and it's steadily rising. The price tag is daunting for many, if not most, families. The average price of a college tuition over the last 30 years has quintupled. It's quintupled over 30 years, according to the U.S. Department of Education. And while the cost in Massachusetts is slightly higher, according to today's Globe, national statistics say that the estimated tuition at a four-year private institution is about $32,000, and a four-year state institution is closer to $16,000. Both of these statistics, again, are by the U.S. Department of Education. Now, we all know and we hear from our constituents, our family members, our friends, that parents are worried and intimidated about the prospect of saving for college. According to a 2013 report from Sallie Mae, most parents feel that college is an investment in their child's future, but only 1/3 have a plan to pay for it. Sallie Mae's report also shows that fewer families are saving for college nationally. It's down 10% over the past 2 years, from 60 to 50%. So in the last 2 years, as we are seeing these incredible increases, we're also seeing fewer and fewer families prepared for the onslaught of a college education. Now, education is the great equalizer. We all know that. It's something that everyone in this chamber works towards each and every day. However, the fact is, students from low-income families are less likely to go on to college and even less likely to enroll in graduate school. This is wrong, and we can take some concrete steps to fix it. In anticipation of National College Savings Month next month, September, I'm asking the City Council to look at ways to help families and their children get on the right track towards college. I want Boston to look at implementing a program that's similar to programs that are being adopted or considered at other cities around the country. The best example that we came up with was San Francisco's Kindergarten to College program, the K2C program. It's a partnership with Citibank where every child entering kindergarten receives a non-interest, deposit-only bank account opened in his or her name. I believe that we could do this by working with our colleges and universities to see if the funding could come totally from the city's pilot program, the Payment in Lieu of Taxes program. We would not have to spend one dime of taxpayer-funded money to make this a reality. Institutions that take part in the pilot program could use this as an opportunity to provide the seed money to help students open an account. A small amount, $50 or $100 per student, could jumpstart every child's college savings and send them on the right path. Approximately 4,000 kids enter the BPS's K2 students every year. If we were to invest $100 for every student that's on a free or reduced lunch, which is about 77% of kids going into kindergarten, and $50 for everyone else, the cost of this entire program would be $354,000 annually. That's 1.5% of what we took in nonprofit fees this year. We could discuss incentives to add to this amount. Maybe we would if a kid had perfect attendance or made the honor roll. We could also encourage and make it easier for parents to put money into this account throughout the college or throughout the educational career. Once the child has graduated from the BPS, they would receive the full amount of their savings if they were to attend a 2- or 4-year school. If they did not go on to college, The money, less obviously any contributions from the parents, would revert back to this program. Now, I'm not naive enough to suggest that this is the only answer, nor would this modest savings account be able to attack some of these large college tuitions, but it certainly would go a long way towards books, towards fees, towards other things. But more than that, it would score a couple of really important points. First, it would send an important message to our kids, let them know that we are invested in them and they should be invested in themselves. And secondly, it would help promote savings and financial literacy. We could work with some of these nonprofit partners, some of these tax-exempt partners in teaching ways to save and what it means. Again, this is an easy program, but I think the benefits would be immeasurable. Many of us are familiar with the Roth IRA, named after former Senator William Roth from Delaware, which creates individual retirement accounts for folks that may not have the opportunity or the pension to build into it. It was a federal program that has helped people save money and really put themselves on the path to a secure financial retirement. This is something in that vein, but by teaching kids at an early age, by investing $354,000 annually, we can really help these kids get to a brighter future, get on to college, and show that we have a real investment with them. So I'm looking forward to a hearing and hope you'll all sign on and join me in this endeavor. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wish to commend the maker and sign on. Wish to state the obvious, that there are no monopolies on great ideas, and even during this campaign season, as we all unveil our own ideas around education, this was actually something that I was looking at in the spirit of what San Francisco is doing. What I've learned is that a child with a savings account is up to 7 times more likely to attend college than kids without. So starting kids with financial literacy skills as early as possible and offering them just a small startup savings account, like the city of San Francisco is doing, and like what's being proposed here, is a really good idea, and it's one that I support, and I wish to add my name.
Please add the name of City Councilor Mike Ross to docket 1327. Also, City Councilor Ayanna Pressley, Councilor Charles Yancey, Councilor Tito Jackson, Councilor Rob Consalvo, Councilor Sal Lamartina, Councilor Felix Arroyo, Councilor Frank Baker, Councilor Mark Sioma. That matter, docket 1327, will be referred to the Committee on Ed, and Councilor Bill Linehan, who did that on purpose. Docket 1327 will be referred to the Committee on Education.
Docket
1328.
Thank you, Mr. President. Docket number 1328, Councilor Yancey offered the following order for hearing regarding rental inspection requirements.
Chair recognizes Councilor Charles Yancey on docket 1328.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I, first of all, want to thank the administration for responding to the 17F and for hosting an information session for the city councilors and their staff. The purpose of this hearing order is to give the public an opportunity to get similar clarifications on some of the issues raised in the 17F. Mr. President, this has been a very interesting process. Councilor O'Malley did a superb job shepherding this through and making amendments throughout to deal with some of the questions that came out before we actually voted on it. Since we voted on it, my office has been bombarded, and I'm sure many of our colleagues, with questions about this. So many questions that it did prompt me to do the 17F. And even after the informational session, I still have a few questions. And during the session, even members from the ISD team contradicted themselves on a couple of points. So I think it is prudent upon us to convene yet another public hearing to give the public an opportunity, once again, to weigh in on this, to get any questions clarified, and to invite other suggestions. This is a new approach. Not many cities around the United States of America require rental units to be registered, and it comes from a good place. I think the administration is very well intentioned, but sometimes the devil is in the details, and sometimes things we do here have unintended consequences. So I would like that matter to be referred to the appropriate committee for an expedited hearing. The administration did extend the deadline 30 days from August 1st to August 31st, and I'm grateful for that. I'm not sure it's enough, however, and would like to, again, ask that whoever chairs this hearing conduct an expedited one for the public. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Yancey. Chair recognizes Councilor Bill Linehan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to commend Councilor Yancey's efforts on behalf of those who have rental units. This thing has really gone awry, in my opinion. Up front, I voted against it. I didn't think it was a necessary thing that had to be done. I think government sometimes gets too aggressive, and in this particular case, we did. So to have further dialogue and have further discussion, to let residents who now everybody knows because they have been included and have been notified, they don't know exactly what to do about it. But so I chair Councilor Yancey on in this regard and hope that we do have a hearing, one that will be fully attended this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Linehan. Chair recognizes Councilor Tito Jackson.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. I want to compliment the maker on this issue. This is an issue that has filled my inbox. It has filled my voicemail box. And literally before I walked into the meeting today, I got a call about this particular issue. One of the hesitations that I had in this whole process is not the idea that the city of Boston should know about its housing stock. It should know the condition of its housing stock. I totally agree with that. My biggest pause was whether or not the Inspectional Service Department could do it. And I think what we've seen in implementation has been really clunky implementation. The education component has not been one that I think has hit the most number of people. And it really begs the question whether or not we should have onboarded this over the course of 6 months or 9 months or a year rather than kind of rushing. And I would like an expedited hearing on this and still beg the question whether or not the implementation should occur right now. There's a lot of folks who are thinking that there's other intentions, and we need to get that out, and we need to get a fair and fluid process to move this forward. And so thank you so much, Councilor Yancey, for dealing with this very important issue that I, in my office as a district councilor, I'm dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Thank you.
Councilor Jackson, do you wish to sign on?
Yes, sir.
Councilor Linehan wanted to sign on. Thank you. Councilor Baker, Councilor Siomo, Councilor Murphy, Councilor Ross, and that matter will be referred to the Committee on City and Neighborhood Services. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Personnel orders.
Docket number 1329, Councilor Murphy for Councilor Consalvo, offer the
Councilor
following.
Consalvo moves suspension of the rules and passage of docket 1329. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. 1329 has passed.
Docket number 1330, Councilor Murphy for Councilor Yancey, offered the
Councilor
following
Yancey
order.
moves suspension of the rules and passage of docket 1330. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Docket 1330 has passed.
Docket number 1331, Councilor Murphy for Councilor Jackson.
Councilor Jackson moves suspension of the rules and passage of 1331. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Docket 1331 has passed.
Docket number 1332, Councilor Murphy for Councilor Yancey.
Councilor Yancey moves suspension of the rules and passage of docket 1332. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Docket 1332 has passed.
Docket number 1333, Councilor Murphy for Councilor Conley.
Councilor Conley moves suspension of the rules and passage of docket 1333. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Docket 1333 has passed.
Docket number 1334, Counselor Murphy for Counselor Jackson.
Counselor Jackson moves suspension of the rules and passage of docket 1334. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Docket 1334 has passed. Chair recognizes Counselor Tito Jackson. For what purpose does the counselor rise? Counselor Jackson requests unanimous consent to make a statement. Hearing no objection, Counselor Jackson has the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I just wanted to note, and I appreciate that we are having a conversation about, in particular, the definition of manhood and what the responsibility is. You brought forth the UFC component. I think that's an opportunity for us as a council, but also in particular as a man, for me, to step forward and have a conversation about this very important issue. I think we need to, as a council and as a city, continue to redefine what it means to be a man in the city of Boston, and that I'm big enough that manhood means that you can be gay, you can be transgendered, you can be all of those things. And I think we not only need to deal with these issues in our playing fields, not only need to deal with these issues in the cage matches, but we also have to be real and deal with these issues in our man caves, in the conversations that we're having with one another. And I think we need to continue to challenge one another on these very real issues that not only are in public, but also in private. And so I think we have an opportunity and obligation as a council to continue to have that conversation and call it out whenever and wherever we see it. And I just wanted to make that statement on the record. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Counselor Jackson. Clerk informs me there is one late file matter in her hands, which in absence of objection will be added to today's agenda. Seeing and hearing no objection, the matter is so added.
Counselor Stephen J. Murphy ordered that effective Saturday, August...
Personnel in nature. Chair moves suspension of the rules and passage of the late file matter. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The late file matter has passed. Anybody wishing to remove a matter from the green sheets may do so at this time. Seeing and hearing no one. There are two late file matters to be added to the consent agenda. Yeah, I think it's going to the consent agenda. Should have been added. Okay. There is a second late file matter, which was going to the consent agenda a moment ago until Councilor Linehan interrupted. It is Councilor Linehan's missive, and it will be added to today's agenda. Clerk will read the second addition to the agenda. Madam Clerk? First and last, I guess.
Resolution of Counselor Bill Linehan and Counselor Stephen Murphy. Whereas the Boston Police Department's mission is to ensure the safety and well-being of residents, visitors, and businesses located in the city of Boston, be it resolved that the Boston City Council supports the passage of the aforementioned legislation to provide the Boston Police Department with concurrent jurisdiction over Massport properties along the waterfront.
Chair recognizes Councilor Bill Linehan on the second late file matter.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate the opportunity and for bringing it to the floor. This is a simple matter. We've all heard about it before. We actually had a hearing in the chamber in 2011. This particular matter was brought forth by Councilor Murphy and myself back at that time. And it continues to cause problems in the South Boston waterfront. There's legislation that's currently up at the House, H 3035, that is will be potentially getting a hearing date soon. And so I thought it was important that the Boston City Council have an opportunity to to have a resolution and to send it up to the State House so folks would know that we do want concurrent jurisdiction for Boston Police and State Police down on the Massport properties. And this is not about who gets overtime or who gets details. This is about the ability of the Boston Police Department to do their job on Boston streets that are owned by Massport. And we know of incidents that occur most recently where a woman was abducted and abused by a gypsy cab driver, and it was not reported to the police or to us. We didn't know what was going on. The state police had it. So it's time now that we do this. It's time that we get out and speak. So I ask that we suspend and move this resolution forward.
Thank you, Councilor Linehan. Chair recognizes Councilor Matt O'Malley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very briefly, I rise to commend the makers of this order and a resolution. Ask that my name be added. You have done terrific work in this regard. It's long overdue. It's a simple public safety measure, so I look forward to supporting this. Thank you, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes Charles Yancey. Councilor Charles.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I am rising to ask that my name be added. I believe that the Boston Police Department deserves this type of support, but more important than that, Mr. Chair, is that the people of Boston deserve this support. Back in 1987, this body passed a law, which I authored, called the Stranger Sexual Assault Ordinance, which requires the City of Boston, through its police department, to notify residents if there are instances of stranger sexual assaults. Now, when we drafted that legislation and got it passed, we did not consider this dilemma or this conflict with state police or with Massport. And perhaps it was a flaw in the legislation, but I think we should require all police agencies to provide that information to the public. So I enthusiastically ask that my name be added. And I commend the two makers of this and say to the governor and others who will be acting on this issue that we cannot delay. Too many people are at risk, and there should be no confusion about jurisdiction. So I am, once again, asking that my name be added, and I support suspension and passage of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes President Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to, first of all, commend Councilor Linehan for sponsoring this resolution. It's very timely, given what's happened on the waterfront the last couple of years ago. We held a hearing on this, as Councilor Linehan said, back in 2011, and we unanimously sent up a committee report to the legislature requesting that we had concurrent jurisdiction with the state police on our own property in our own city. And this is the only city in America that doesn't have police powers within its own borders because of a quirk in the enabling legislation that created Massport. And in that enabling legislation, it stated that state police would get exclusive jurisdiction to Port Authority property. And that, at the time, was the airport and the seaport. Since then, Massport has expanded, and their reach goes into more than half of the waterfront property in the South Boston waterfront is owned by Massport, and in operating under the jurisdiction, the enabling language, it increases the state police hold on our own property and shuts out the Boston Police Department as a police agency within the city of Boston. Let me just point out where that's bad. Licensed premises, and I know Councilor Presley is trying to move the cap and increase the number of licensed premises in the city, and that's a good thing, and I support her. Licensed premises in the South Boston waterfront in buildings that are owned by Massport have no regulatory enforcement authority that go along with them. Massport police have no authority under licensed premises. State police by nature of their charter, have no regulatory authority over licensed premises. And Boston police are not police in our own city and town based on what happens. So you have a number of licensed premises, all very popular, Del Frisco's, Jerry Remy's, all these places on Massport property that are beyond the reach of regulation by the Boston Licensing Board and cannot be policed. We don't know if they're serving underage people. We don't know if they're over-serving people. We don't know if there are too many patrons in at one time. And that is exclusively the job of the Boston Police Department when it comes to our licensing board and our licensing entertainment division. So there is a black hole in public safety within the borders of our city right there. And we, in 2011, acknowledged that and sent up a very strongly worded report saying it's a no-brainer to make it concurrent. And as a no-brainer, it failed up there because I don't know why, but it's something that Councilor Linehan wants to give a kick in the side to with this resolution. I think each and every one of us should be on board in this because once somebody underage is overserved over there and gets in an accident at 3 o'clock in the morning, then all hell's going to break loose. Why was this loophole allowed to continue? At least here on the City Council, we're sending it up twice. We're red flagging it officially. I want to thank the maker for doing that. It's his district. But it could happen in any Massport property. It doesn't have to be on the South Boston waterfront. They could expand in Eastie or other places. And they just need to get a common sense loophole through to give us concurrent jurisdiction. It's not exclusive jurisdiction to Boston, just that we will have police powers on our police department in our city. Makes sense?
Thank you, Mr. President. Chair recognizes Councilor Ross.
To sign on.
Please sign on Councilor Presley. Chair recognizes Councilor Malley to sign on. Chair recognizes Councilor Tito Jackson.
Mr. Chair, I want to also note there was a issue that occurred in Councilor Linehan's district about 2 years ago when a group of kids decided to have a party on Carson Beach. And sadly, how that situation was handled was the state police called it a gang fight and went on record and said that a group of young people at a beach party who had one incident was a gang fight. I think this ability to have concurrent administration over these properties helps the people who are actually closest to these problems. Boston Police Department is an organization that works with us and also the city of Boston in the closest fashion. And I think this is very important that we have this. A lot of it happens in your district, but that we have this and that we continue to pull down those walls and have as many police forces as possible to make sure that people are safe. And if you could add my name, that would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you, Councilor Jackson. Please add the name of Councilor Tito Jackson. Please also have the name of Councilor Rob Consalvo, Councilor Frank Baker, Councilor Felix Arroyo, Councilor Mark Siomo, Councilor Sal Lamatina, Councilor John Connolly. Madam Clerk, please also add my name. And that matter the rules will be suspended and the resolution adopted. Question now comes on suspension of the rules and adoption of the resolution to be sent to the legislature. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Council Linehan doubts the vote. The clerk will call the roll on the late file resolution.
Councilor Arroyo.
Yes.
Councilor Arroyo, yes. Councilor Baker.
Yes.
Councilor Baker, yes. Councilor Siomo. Yes. Councilor Siomo, yes. Councilor Conley. Yes. Councilor Conley, yes. Councilor Consalvo. Yes. Councilor Consalvo, yes. Councilor Jackson. Councilor Jackson, yes. Councilor Lamatina. Yes. Councilor Lamatina, yes. Councilor Linehan. Yes. Councilor Linehan, yes. Councilor Murphy.
Yes.
Councilor Murphy, yes. Councilor O'Malley.
Yes.
Councilor O'Malley, yes. Councilor Presley. Councilor Presley, yes. Councilor Ross. Councilor Ross, yes. And Councilor Yancey. Councilor Yancey, yes. We have a unanimous vote on the roll call, Mr. President.
Unanimous vote. Thank you, Councilor Linehan, on that late file. The clerk informs me that there is one late file to be added to the consent agenda at this time. Chair moves adoption of the consent agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The consent agenda has been adopted. The chair would ask all councilors and all guests to please rise. Council prepares to adjourn. We'll be adjourning in memory of the following rules. As soon as I get myself together here. For Councilors O'Malley and Connolly, Ann Linehan and Thomas A. Finn. For Councilors Ross and Presley, Joyce Foster. For Councilors Consalvo and O'Malley, Eleanor Avery. For the Chair and Councilor O'Malley, Teresa F. Hoban Flaherty. For Councilor Siomo and the Chair, Paul Francis Creighton Sr. Councilor Connolly, Anthony Williams Sr. For the Chair, Carolyn Ambrose Hayes. For Councilor Linehan, Dorothy Cusick, Joan Dean, Richard Den, Dorothy LeBlanc, Milfred Manufo, and Joan Waterman. And Councilor LaMartina, Rosemarie Arico. You can have a moment of silence for the aforementioned. Thank you. When the council adjourns today, it will do so to meet again on Wednesday, September the 11th at 12 o'clock noon. All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye. The council stands adjourned.